Hi, my name is James C. Harris, and I'm black. I bet you probably already knew that, but in today's time, it seems like it's a necessary thing to put out there that I'm black. If I were a liberal, I would have to self-identify as being black. As a matter of fact, I'm not a liberal. I'm conservative, but I can get into a lot of places under the cloak of my blackness because when Democrats see a black person, they think liberal. They think, oh, he's one of ours. And you see it playing out all the time on television, especially with the Biden administration. They are very, very much into identity politics to the point where it's becoming annoying. Things were bad enough when Ketanji Brown Jackson was appointed to the Supreme Court. We had to go through the whole first black woman thing, first black female to sit on the Supreme Court. Oh, okay. Why couldn't it? Okay. I mean, we've had black folks on the Supreme Court before, but one was too far ago, too long ago. Nobody remembers him. The other one, well, he's black, but he's a conservative, so he doesn't count. So now we have a real black person on the court because, you know, she's female and she's a Democrat, don't you know? The next big splash we had, of course, was Karine Jean-Pierre. And the way they introduced her, I got to tell you, I kind of felt sorry for her. She's accomplished. She went to Ivy League schools. She comes from a working class family. But no, she's only going to be known as, well, let former press secretary Jen Psaki do the introductions.
I want to start by, I'm going to cry. Okay. I want to talk about my friend Karine. You've got to come up here. I just want to take the opportunity to celebrate and congratulate my friend, my colleague, my partner in truth, Karine Jean-Pierre, the next White House press secretary. First, as you all know, she will be the first Black woman, the first out LGBTQ plus person to serve in this role, which is amazing because representation matters. Wow, I'm still processing it.
Oh, and then, you know, you had the media. They took that and they absolutely ran with it as they continued to introduce her as a LGBTQ plus person. The first black LGBTQ plus person to ever be White House press secretary. Like we need to know that.
The first Black woman and out gay person to speak for the president.
Becoming the first Black woman and LGBTQ person.
The first Black woman, first openly gay person.
The first Black woman, the first openly gay person.
The first Black person, first openly gay person.
Becoming the first Black person and first openly LGBTQ person to serve as White House press secretary.
So now whenever I see her, that's exactly what I'm going to think. I'm going to think, oh, here she is. There's that LGBTQ2 whatever plus person. Oh, she's gay. Oh, she has a partner. They have children instead of the White House press secretary. It's out of control. And it strips the individual of who they are and it elevates the collective. It elevates the idea of, oh, diversity, oh, inclusion, oh, look at us. We're great. But notice, it's always the white person that's handing that off, the white Democrat, whether it be Joe Biden saying to the cats at Breakfast Club, hey, you know what? If you don't know between me and Trump that you ain't black. Really? He kind of just gets away with that. Jen Psaki, oh, here's my black gay friend who's taking over. This is such a magical moment. This is history. You want to know how absurd it gets? Well, you have a new appointee, President Biden's appointee to the Fed. You know, we got all kinds of crazy inflation going on. We're at a 40-year high. We want to know what is the Biden administration going to do to get around this, to get control of this out of control inflation. Instead of getting some type of plan, what we got was identity politics.
did, that the confirmation of the president's nominees to the Federal Reserve is super important. This is the first and foremost institution fighting inflation. And the fact that we now have a Federal Reserve with Dr. Lisa Cook, the first black woman ever to be on a Federal Reserve Board, is, I think, a key achievement of Bidenomics, trying to make sure that this extremely important global economic institution looks a little bit more like some of the people that it's representing.
Let me ask you, I'm sure she's excellent and well qualified, but how does the fact that it's a diverse pick mean that the economy is going to improve? Why is that relevant?
Totally fair question. The reason it's relevant is because what you need on a Federal Reserve, well, remember, these are people who are pulling some of the most influential levers in the economy. Now, anytime you're doing that, you have to ask yourself, on whose behalf are you pulling those levers? If you're simply focused on the top reaches of the corporate sector, if you're simply focused on the stock market, and you're not paying enough attention to communities that have long been left behind in this economy, then I would argue that you have a Federal Reserve that's not as representative as it needs to be.
I mean,
that's what President Biden has
people would argue with that it doesn't matter what color you are to care about communities at the upper and lower reaches of the economy. But
President Biden would explain to you that it's extremely important to have a Federal Reserve that looks like and represents all of America.
Like I said, if she's the most qualified, then absolutely, 100%, that's who you want in the job, regardless of her skin color, either way.
I imagine if I were in the Biden administration, I'd be the first black conservative to be in the Biden administration. And that's how people would think about me. That's how they would remember me. But I don't... Who wants to do that? The race card is very, very powerful, but it's also very, very exhausting. I have to imagine to walk around, with that chip on your shoulder that you're the black first. You're the black first, lesbian, black lesbian. You're the black woman on the Supreme Court. Why can't you just be a Supreme Court justice? Why can't you just be the White House press secretary? Why can't you just be on the board of the Fed? Because we're talking about Democrats, and we're talking about Democrats who will use anything or anybody to advance their narrative. Now, I would think that by now, most BIPOCs would be tired of being used by Democrats. I'm not a Democrat, and I'm tired of watching the Democrats use people of color to advance their narrative. It's sickening. It's divisive. It's demoralizing. And depressing. I was a high school teacher for 10 years, and on the very day that the superintendent of schools hired me, he pulled me aside. I want to tell you something. You're going to go in there, and people are going to think you got the job because you're black. I want you to know that's not why I hired you, he said. I want you to know it's partly your GPAs. It's the fact that you want to be a history teacher and you travel over the third of the world. You are qualified, more than qualified to do this job. I said, well, thank you, sir, but why are you telling me this? Because he knew that the liberals, the teachers over in that school, were going to brand me as affirmative action. And he wanted me to know that I was not an affirmative action hire. It didn't take very long for that whole thing to be proven out. And I am still thankful to that superintendent to this day for getting me ready for that whole world. I don't want to be seen as an affirmative action choice for anything. And I imagine that Karine Jean-Pierre, Ketanji Brown Jackson, hell, even Vice President Kamala Harris, they don't want to be seen as an affirmative action pick, but that's the box that the left puts you in, and it's exhausting. My name is James C. Harris, and if you like the information on this channel, I want to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Tell all your friends about it. Share this thing. This is where we're going to be giving you our view of the day, our take on what we're seeing. And today or this week, I just saw a whole lot of racial pandering coming from the left side of the aisle, and I'm sick of it.